Well, welcome back to episode 2, or just welcome to episode 2 of Overanalyzing Music. And this time, we are going to be listening to Theory of Mind by Kublai Khan, which is they're a new band on the scene. I had the privilege of seeing them live, which was absolutely epic and amazing. If you're not sure about how I'm going to go through this and, what my overanalysis technique is, I guess, so to say, go check out episode 1, and that'll kind of explain everything. Again, I'll just say this isn't a reaction video. I've already listened to this song. This is just going to be me giving some pretty in-depth commentary about the musical sounds and just deriving any kind of musical interpretation from the song. That way you could have a better listening experience. That way I have a better listening experience, staying focused. Like I said in my last video, if you want to do this the true way, listen to this and then come back, watch the video, listen through it with me, and then listen to it again. Every time you listen, it's going to be a different listening experience. I highly treasure that. Maybe you don't care as much. Maybe you just want to listen through it with me, which is fine. So if you do, grab a coffee, grab a tea, grab some, warm milk, maybe even get a bowl of cereal ready. I've got my moose listening along, gives me some emotional support so I hear the right things. I need to be fully in the zone. All right, this is the music video for Theory of Mind. Like I've said in the last episode, I'm not going to make any comments on the actual substance of the music video, because that would be its own thing. That would be its own endeavor, I should say, its own analysis. I'm just going to be focusing on the actual musical sounds, as if this was just a black screen and I was closing my eyes and listening by myself. If you'd like to see a video of me going in depth about music videos, then by all means let me know. But I'm just doing the music video so you watching along have something to look at. So let's give it a listen. I know I just started it, but I gotta pause it and say that's already signifying something, right? Like I talked about this in my last episode too. All musical sounds, well, maybe not all, but most, I'm gonna argue all musical sounds are signifiers of something, of either their source, the physical being of their source, or something a little more subjective, like anger or excitement and happiness. So feedback through you could just tell this is extremely distorted. So a feedback loop I shouldn't say loop, but it's just feedback from the guitar that is probably gain all the way up and distortion all the way up. I'm getting hints of anger, for sure. So like I said before, second voice, right? When a voice is introduced, like the main singer, his voice, whereas, our first reaction is, okay, they're about to say something. Let me listen because something important is about to be said. When a second voice is introduced, whether on top of that as a harmony or just introduced in between it, like it was in this case, it was kind of in between the two lines of the main singer. We need to also ask ourselves, I say we need to as if it's a necessity, but it's a good thing to ask ourselves. They are obviously repeating something important. I'm not going to repeat it, so I could stay at least sort of family friendly, even though this is explicit in nature, this song. But what he says is obviously they're putting exclamation point on it, 2 exclamation points, really driving in the point home. What's being said. But the voice never be enough. The one thing I love about Kublai Khan's music is they are not afraid of silence. They're not afraid of gaps in between their riffs. They are just chugging away and not caring at all. But let's look into this. Love will never be enough, and then it goes into some kind of heavy breakdown. It's a moment for you to just sit with what's being said. You ever, have this realization, and then you just have to sit there with yourself and be like, oh gosh. You sit there and you're like, I just realized something, and this is a painful realization. I just need a moment to process this. That's what this is how I interpret this. Love will never be enough. Boom. Let's let's absorb that, because it's not like a crazy breakdown. It's literally just two notes. Wow, 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 wow. Right? Super simple. So it is just allowing those words to exist for a little bit, for you to kind of take it in and think about what was being said, right? And I guess repeat it there. Again, feedback through crazily distorted amp, and now we have screaming, which obviously, I mean, it's metal, so he's screaming just because, but it's definitely, they're all signifying some kind of anger, right? All these sounds are their own characters, and we empathize with their agency. And right now, as an engaged listener, I'm empathizing with that anger, right? Not all metal is angry. It might sound angry, but not all metal is angry. This is definitely giving angry. In a way, the guitars are giving some more drive to the song, like it's going somewhere, and it's even more chaotic than just the feedback. And they come in on how much can a heart take before a heart breaks. So this really is just leading somewhere to this, like, it's like the music's about to explode, and we're just waiting for that explosion, which comes. Actually, I'll say it now. The explosion comes, and they have this metric modulation that is just absolutely disgusting. But this person, whoever's singing, whatever they're singing about, has so much anger, as is signified through all of the instruments and their sounds and their timbres and their rhythms, and the harmonies because of the guitars, right? And it explodes so hard that the music, the actual structure of the music itself, cannot withstand the explosion. So then there's this metric modulation that happens, and then they kind of readjust and they come back to the original meter that we were feeling, or at least I am feeling. So I wanted to kind of go into it with that so we could hear that as it happens. Because OBS just sucks, it stopped recording. So there were some things I just kept going, and it stopped recording my screen. So I'm just gonna pick it up from here. I'm not sure what I said when I left it off at this frame, and there were some things I was saying that I kind of cooked, so it's kind of unfortunate. So before it goes into that next part, so that's what I was talking about there, that the actual fabric of the music itself couldn't withstand that emotional tear, right? So when it's just building up, it's not necessarily an explosion, but it's definitely a tear, or when it's that pop of the balloon, or you're filling it up with so much air it just bursts. And the music, I guess, is this metaphorical balloon that couldn't handle all of the energy. And so the actual fabric of the meter of music tore. which then had to be sewn back together by reverting back to the original felt meter, which I think is just epic. All right. Silence. So anytime you hear those unisons, right, it was the drums, guitar, the bass, and the backup vocal, not the lead vocal, right? That's interesting. The backup vocal, they all went bum bum bum, bum bum bum. You always have to ask yourself why. Why is that happening? Is there a reason that's happening? What am I supposed to get from that, right? In which I'm coming to a realization that I'm not always going to have something necessarily to say about it and give you a reason as to why, but I'm definitely able to prompt that question so that when you now go and listen to it by yourself, you have that in the back of your mind, and it changes your listening experience. Also, the lyric before they all have that unison part, I'm forgetting what it is, I'm horrible with lyrics, but said something about being together or something like that. So that's kind of little word painting there, right? Being together, and then all of the parts line up. That's pretty cool. Notice that the guitar parts are now super intense. We've at the beginning of the song just had wow, 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 wow. Now we're having digga 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 digga. Like, we've really increased the energy from the guitars. And again, what does that signify? What is that doing to your mind as you listen? These guitar parts will never be enough. Notice I gotta point out the cymbal, the drummer decided not to hit the cymbals there and just hit the toms, which added this super dry timbre to the song. What was that signifying? What does that mean? We had that moment of just extreme dryness, and we're about to go into another breakdown. Also, this is this epic freeze frame right here. We have this super dry timbre, and then we go into a guitar part that's panned, at least for, I don't know how it transfers over through OBS, but for me it's panned all the way left, and it's super just thin. Now, this is actually super sick because the song has a full circle moment. This is the opening breakdown. Wow, 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 wow. And we don't really hear it throughout the song, and then we have it again at the end of the song. So is that what this song is about? Is it about life being a circle? Or you said love will never be enough. So is it about the constant cycle of meeting someone, thinking that you love them, and then you're heartbroken because love will never be enough to keep them around? Is it necessarily about a person? Is it about something that you love, or is it about a place that you love? And this is all signified through the music itself, through the actual form of the music, mind you. And then the song has a fade out, and I'm gonna be doing a video soon about the like implications of fade outs. So I'm not gonna say much about it right now because I'm still not entirely sure. But fade outs are such a unique thing in music because it's like, what is this representing? Why are you fading out and not just ending? In this song, is it maybe fading out to say that it's gonna start up again? Because the beginning of the song starts up with that feedback, right? It comes from nothing and gets really loud. This is now tapering, right? It's descending into nothingness. So this song is essentially just one big cycle, and I think that's what they're trying to get at. And maybe that's our theory of mind. This cycle is simply just in our mind. We think it's this really intense felt thing, but it's just part of our mind. Right? So when you listen to this, maybe you're not even thinking about these kinds of things. This is what in like a guided listening is, and why I'm doing this series, because I really am overanalyzing this. To some people, they just want to rock out to this. All right, let's listen to the fade out. Nice. So if you saw episode one, you already kind of got the gist, and hopefully episode two, this episode, really kind of solidified what this series is about. Episode three will be coming soon. Like I said, I'm not always giving something like an answer. I'm not always giving an answer to the music, but I am definitely posing a lot of questions which you should be answering your own way, because sometimes we'll come to different conclusions. That's the beauty of this. We can listen to the same song and have a different conclusion in our interpretations. Just like with a painting, we could look at the same exact colors and structures and take something differently from it. So I hope you enjoyed this. Go listen to the song by yourself now and keep the questions that I had in mind, and think about, again, the cyclical nature of this song. It's about cycles, for sure. It's definitely about a cyclical relationship with something that you love, but love will never be enough to keep that thing from leaving, apparently. If you like this song, let me know. If you agreed with anything I said, let me know. If you disagreed, let me know. If you noticed something that I didn't notice, I would really love for you to let me know that, so I can keep that in mind and give it this another listen with that in mind. Stay tuned for the next one. Hope you enjoyed this, and thanks for watching.